Ever walk up to a door and you just know it should push open, but the handle's giving you major pull-me vibes? Or maybe squint at a website trying to decipher text so light it's practically invisible.
Oh, I've been there. Talk about design fails.
Right. It's like in those moments, you really feel how a little design flaw can totally throw you off. But what if I told you design isn't just about, like, making things look pretty?
It's about a lot more than aesthetics, for sure.
Totally. It's about creating spaces and experiences that truly work for everyone. And you'd be surprised how often those tiny details make all the difference.
Absolutely.
And that's exactly what we're diving into today with Designing for Diversity, an insightful piece from Ronin Graphics.
And what's fascinating about this piece is that it's not just some, theoretical guide. Ronin Graphics, they actually walk the talk. They're a company completely dedicated to inclusive design, and they really share how they've woven these principles into their work and even their company culture.
It's so refreshing to see a company actually living their values, and that really shines through right away. Like their creative director, Osama, says design is not just about making things look pretty. It's about making the world a little bit better for everyone.
It's a powerful statement.
Right. I feel like that's their mission statement, setting the tone for everything they do.
Totally. And you see that reflected perfectly in their project redesigning a community center's visual identity.
Oh, this project. This is like a masterclass in inclusive design.
Yeah.
So picture this. Ronin Graphics is brought on to completely revamp this community center. I'm talking logo, website, the whole 9 yards. But then Emma, one of their designers, she has this light bulb moment.
Oh, I love those. What sparked it?
So she asked this really insightful question. What if we could make this space feel truly welcoming to everyone, no matter their age, ability, or background?
Wow.
Right. It completely reframed the entire project.
See, that's what I love about inclusive design. It's not just about checking off boxes on a list. It's about fundamentally shifting your mindset.
100%.
Yeah.
And that's what they did. Instead of just slapping on a fresh coat of paint, they focused on creating an experience that was genuinely inclusive for everyone.
Which is a much bigger task, honestly. How do you even start with something like that?
Well, they got to know the community they were designing for. They didn't just sit in a fancy conference room and assume they knew what people wanted. They went out and actually listened to the residents, young people, older folks, people from all walks of life.
That's a key takeaway right there. You can't design for a community without actually understanding that community.
Exactly. And the insights they got from those conversations, they really shaped the project. For example, some people talked about having trouble with small text, while others mentioned that they felt out of the loop with community events. Mm-hmm. They also heard from people with disabilities who often felt overlooked in design.
That's something that often gets missed, unfortunately.
It's true. And what's so great about Ronin Graphics is they didn't just acknowledge these concerns, they actively sought out solutions.
So what did they do?
Well, take their flexible logo system. Instead of just making one static logo, they created something that could adapt and change depending on where it was being used.
Interesting.
Yeah. That way, whether it's on a giant banner or a tiny business card, it's always clear, legible, and makes an impact.
That's such a great example of how designing for accessibility actually ends up benefiting everyone. We've all been there, squinting to read a sign with tiny text.
All the time. And it wasn't just about the logo. They also made sure to incorporate culturally diverse iconography throughout all of the community center's visuals.
Because representation matters.
100%.
Yeah.
When people see themselves reflected in design, it creates a sense of belonging. It tells them, hey, this space is for you.
Exactly. It makes you feel welcome. So they've tackled the logo, the overall feel. What about things like the website? That's a whole other challenge.
Oh, absolutely. And their web designer, James, he was really passionate about making the website a shining example of digital accessibility. He was really adamant about making the website easy to use for everyone. So, of course, he made sure it had things like adjustable text sizes, high contrast options for low vision, and screen reader compatibility.
Those are all the essentials of web accessibility, right? But knowing James, he didn't stop there.
Oh, no, he did not. It's like he took those fundamental features and said, how can we make this even better? Get this. He made it so users could actually customize the website's language.
Oh, wow. That's huge for people whose first language isn't English. It can be so alienating to try to navigate a website in a language you don't fully understand.
Exactly. It's instead of saying you have to adapt to us, they're saying we're going to meet you where you are.
I love that. It's true inclusivity in action.
And if that wasn't cool enough, get this. You can even customize the color scheme. So if you're someone who's sensitive to, like, really bright colors, you can actually choose a more muted palette that's easier on your eyes.
That's amazing. And it speaks to that crucial element of control that we were talking about earlier. For individuals with disabilities especially, who so often encounter barriers in the digital world, giving them that agency to tailor the website to their own needs is huge.
It's like James said, it's like giving each person their own personal welcome mat.
I love that. But, what I find truly remarkable about this whole story is how this project and its focus on inclusivity went way beyond just the community center itself. It had this ripple effect.
Oh, yeah, totally. I mean, it really got people thinking about design in a whole new way.
Right. Like take Sally, their print specialist. During the project, she had this incredible aha moment where she realized that up until that point, she'd been designing with a very narrow perspective. She hadn't really considered the needs of people who were different from her.
It's like that saying, you don't know what you don't know.
Exactly. And it's a common blind spot, honestly, even among well-intentioned designers. It's so easy to, without even realizing it, exclude others when we're designing primarily for ourselves and those who are similar to us.
100%. But the thing about Sally is she didn't just have this realization and then, keep going about her business. This project really sparked something in her. She became super passionate about inclusive design and actually started leading workshops at local schools, determined to share these values with the next generation.
Now that's inspiring. Catching them young is so important because it's not just about teaching a specific skill set, it's about nurturing empathy and awareness.
It's so true. And I remember she said something that really stuck with me. She said, if we can instill these values early on, we're not just shaping better designers, we're nurturing more empathetic human beings. And that's just stayed with me ever since. It's made me way more aware of inclusivity, even in my own life. Just thinking about how I arrange furniture in my living room or what colors I choose for a room.
It's amazing how one project can have such a profound effect on you. It's like you develop this heightened awareness of how design, even in these subtle ways, shapes our experiences.
Absolutely. And that's something that I really admire about Ronin Graphics. They get it. They understand that it's not just about those big, obvious design elements, but also those little, often overlooked details that can actually have a really meaningful impact on people's lives.
Right. It's about going beyond simply checking boxes. It's about recognizing the real human impact of our design choices.
So how do we go beyond just checking boxes when it comes to inclusive design? How do we move from awareness to action?
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it? It's about a genuine shift in mindset, a deeper understanding of the ripple effects of our choices, whether we identify as designers or not.
It makes you wonder how much we just go through life not realizing those little design oversights that could actually be like major obstacles for other people. It's eye-opening once you start paying attention.
It really is. It makes you realize the importance of incorporating diverse perspectives in the design process from the very beginning. Let's take something like, say, color contrast on a website. To someone with typical vision, it might just seem like a purely aesthetic choice, like, oh, I like this color combination better than that one. But for someone with low vision, that contrast could literally be the difference between being able to read the content and not being able to read it at all.
It's such a good point. We can easily miss those things if we're not actively thinking about them.
Exactly. And this idea, this principle of inclusivity, it's relevant way beyond just physical accessibility too, right? It's about creating environments, whether physical spaces or digital ones, where everybody feels a sense of belonging, like they're welcome and respected. Think about it. The language used in marketing, the images in a brochure, even the music playing in a waiting room. These all create a certain feeling, an atmosphere.
It's like these unspoken design cues, sending subtle messages about who belongs and who doesn't, even if it's unintentional.
Absolutely. And what I really admire about Ronin Graphics is they're not just preaching about inclusive design, they're living it. They're constantly learning, always trying to do better, and that's what it's all about.
Yeah. And that's something that's really resonated with me throughout this whole deep dive into their work. It's been so eye-opening. Honestly, it's a great reminder that designing for diversity isn't about just checking off items on a to-do list. It really comes down to cultivating a mindset, an attitude of empathy. It's about wanting to make the world a more inclusive, welcoming place for everyone. And that's something we can all strive for.
Couldn't agree more. It goes beyond just design. It's about how we move through the world, how we consider the needs of others in everything we do.
So well said. So as we wrap up, let's take a page from Ronin Graphics. Let's pay attention to the design around us, the good, the bad, and everything in between. As you go about your day-to-day, take a moment to really look around. Who is being included in this design? Who might be overlooked? It's a small question, but I think it can make a big difference.